Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. We're so glad to have you here this evening. League holds candidate forums to give the community an opportunity to hear from candidates running for local office. The League of Women Voters of Glen Ellyn is a nonpartisan organization that does not support or oppose any political party or candidate, but whose purpose is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government and to act on selected governmental issues. Tonight, we will be hearing from a candidate for DuPage County Board, District 4, and then two candidates who will be running for, who are running for the DuPage Forest Preserve, District 4. If you are interested in asking any questions this evening, our format is we have index cards. We have people circulating around. If you want an index card, just raise your hand. We'll give you an index card. When you're done writing your question, just hold it up. We'll collect those. And then our sorters will go through those and pass them on to the moderator. So without further ado, I would now like to introduce our moderator for the evening. And that is Barb Lamons, who is from the Wheaton League.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. The goal of the League of Women Voters is to hold forums in contested races so voters can make informed choice. All candidates for DuPage County Board District 4 were invited to participate in the forum tonight. We believe it is important to offer every candidate the opportunity to share their vision with the community. We are disappointed the Republican candidate, Annette Corrigan, has declined the invitation to participate. Therefore, per the policy of the League of Women Voters, we are providing Democrat candidate Lynn LaPlante 3 minutes to speak so you can hear directly from her, her goals, and her platform. Lynn, candidate LaPlante.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. First of all, happy Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday to all who celebrate. That would be me for sure. I would like to say thank you so much to the League of Women Voters. It is so hugely important, the work that you're doing. We need educated voters. We really need educated voters. And what I love the most is that you give this kind of time and platform to these local elections. This is hugely important. So thank you so much. I am disappointed that I do not get a chance to sit down and have a forum debate. I love debating, I love talking policy, and I love talking to voters. So I'm sad that I don't get to do that for you tonight. I didn't get to do it in my primary either. Everyone wants to run against me. Why won't people debate me? I really like it. Well, if you don't know me, if you haven't met me before, my name is Lynn LaPlante. I live right here in Glen Ellyn. My husband, Mike Galloway, is right here. We have 4 children. And they run us ragged. This community has given us so much and has given so much to our kids and our family that we give a lot back. And what that looks like is everything under the sun. Room mom, team mom. I make the sandwiches for the Glenbard West coaches. I don't know why I do that, but that's the job that I signed up for. I'm on 1 million committees, 1 million boards. This, and running for office when I first ran, that's just an extension of that. This is my devotion to my community. I believe in public service. And so I lived it before I ran for office, and I am still living it now. Some things that I'm really proud about. I'm running for my 3rd term for the DuPage County Board. I made promises when I first ran, and I made these promises at a League of Women Voter event just like this. And my promises were, number 1, to always be honest. Number 2, to always do the right thing regardless of political outcome. And number 3, to make things less partisan at the local level. I'm very proud to say I have stuck to those promises, and I remake those vows to you today. I will continue that for my 3rd term. I'm a union member. That's something that's hugely important to me. I serve on the collective bargaining committee. I chair community development, and I chair economic development. I have been endorsed. I have to write this down. There's a lot. Congresswoman Delia Ramirez, DuPage County Board Chair Deb Conroy, the Chicago Federation of Musicians, that's my union, the Daily Herald, Moms Demand Action, AFSCME Council 31, Operating Engineers Local 150, Laborers Local 68, Humane Society Legislative Fund, United Hellenic Voters of America, and more. I thank you for your time. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for being engaged voters and participating in the democratic process by being here. This is so important and valuable. You're my favorite kind of voters because you're educated. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and don't forget to vote.
Thank you, Candidate LaPlante. Like I said, I'm Barb Lymans, and I'm from the Wheaton League of Women Voters, and therefore I will not be able to vote for any of the candidates here this evening. The League of Women Voters, as Judy said, is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for office. The League is not affiliated with any political party. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government and civil civic discourse. Providing forums for voter education is a major mission of the League of Women Voters, so citizens can become better informed about the issues facing their community and to learn about the candidates running for office. The format today is a candidate forum, not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts, and their responses reflect their own views and opinions and refrain from commenting on the views of other candidates. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for the accuracy of statements made by the candidates. It is the responsibility of community members, news media, and opposing candidates to fact-check statements made by the candidates. All candidates tonight have assigned and returned the ground rules to participate, and these rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting of the forum, and other rules related to the conduct of the forum. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order with a 2-minute opening statement. Then they will alternate the order in which they answer questions for a maximum of 90 seconds or 1.5 minutes. After the question portion of the forum, each candidate will give a 2-minute closing statement. Members of the leagues will act as timers, and I will enforce the time limits, gentlemen. Should a candidate exceed the time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and move on to the next candidate. We have received a large quantity of questions from the community in advance and tonight for tonight's forum. To ensure that questions represent a balance of topics, a panel of experienced members of the League of Women Voters have reviewed the questions submitted for appropriateness, applicable to all candidates, and to avoid duplication. You may submit questions during the forum, writing your questions legibly, please, on the index cards provided, which volunteers will collect. We will do our best to read as many questions as possible with the time frame allotted. We are grateful to all of you in the community who have taken time to learn more about the candidates before casting your vote by attending and watching candidate forums. For those in attendance today, we request that you do not take photos or video during the forum. It is a distraction to other members of the audience and to the candidates. Please listen attentively, turn off your phones and electronic devices, avoid commenting or disrupting others during the forum, and refrain from applause until the end. We are grateful to these candidates who are not only willing to serve in office, but who agreed to come today to share their goals and positions. So let us begin. Candidate Kessel, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Okay, well, thanks. Want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum, and thanks to all the volunteers who spent time to put this forum together. I really appreciate it. My name is Jeff Castle, and I believe I am the best choice for DuPage County Forest Preserve Commissioner in District 4. I'm a small business owner. I've been a business owner for 17 years. I own a home remodeling company that I started back in 2007. And one thing that being self-employed has taught me is how to foreshadow needs and budget. And anybody who owns a small business will agree with me that that's paramount to your success as a small business. So for the last 4 years, I've been elected to Milton Township as a trustee, and those traits have lent very well to my elected position there. And they're going to lend well again on the Forest Preserve Board. So on the Forest Preserve Board, I'm looking to be a fresh voice, someone who with a renewed sense of passion for the Forest Preserve. And I look forward to collaborating with fellow commissioners to preserve and enhance our open space and green space throughout the county. I'm eager to work with them and to protect our historic landmarks. And as well as that, I'm looking to always be an attentive ear to the residents of DuPage County so I could better interpret their needs to the board. I also want to give our staff, who are industry professionals, everything they need to do their job well, because their job done well is going to deliver us clean air and drinking water, and also to help to enhance the mental health of residents of DuPage County. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gahris, your 2-minute argument. No to them?
So once upon a time, I was the shy country boy, so it astonishes me that I'm here before you today, and I'm very grateful for the League of Women Voters to offer this forum and have the opportunity to participate. So a little bit about me. In college, I pursued an engineering degree and followed that up with a master's degree in environmental science. This led to a career at the Ohio EPA and the US EPA. My training and experience involved working with teams on complex problems, investigating violations of the Clean Air Act primarily. And in some instances, I actually had a courtroom experience, so it was very complicated. I worked with community groups in Detroit. That was a very rewarding experience, working with different kinds of people, trying to solve their local problems in their community. Now here at home, I've been active in the Sierra Club, various other local organizations. I've been promoting green space, solar energy, and clean water. And I've also been a volunteer with the Forest Preserve District over the years. I've always enjoyed working with that. And I spent a summer with the Glen Ellyn Park District, helping them with restoration projects in the parks. And also as a Glen Ellyn Environmental Commissioner for 12 years. So I think you're probably seeing a theme here tonight. But so when I got elected to the Board of Commissioners, which was just a mere 4 years ago already, I found myself hitting the ground running. So it was very, so I was able to pursue certain projects. Certain priorities include environmental sustainability, connecting communities to our trail system, saving green space for development. And we've been buying some land here. We're in the process of buying some land here locally. So I'm feeling really good about that. And I'm very proud of the net zero aspect of the new Willowbrook Wildlife Center. That was something that I championed personally. And so for me, the district, working as a commissioner of the district is a natural progression of my public service. So I'm proud of the work I'm doing with the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you're so tempted. Candidate Gahris, the first question is going to come to you. What do you see as the top priorities for the Forest Preserve District in the next 4 years?
Oh, well, we certainly have to be pursuing our master plan. We have some infrastructure things we've been working on. Some of this was deferred over the years, but before I came on the board, a master plan was developed. And so there's various projects that includes restoration of natural areas and attacking them in a logical way, using so that we could reduce the maintenance down the road. So there'd be a long-term cost savings. And there's some trail access issues that we've been trying to solve and to make it easier for people to get into the trails. And I think that's very important. And just general sustainability. We're an environmental organization, and so we need to show the way how we can do things environmentally sound and cost effectively.
Thank you. Candidate Cass, same question.
So some things are fishing. I'd love to see improved fishing throughout the county. One of the most fundamental things that our Forest Preserves offers is fishing. What a great way to get out with your son or daughter, or just get away from it all and get out there and cast a line out. But lately I've noticed, and so have other fishermen, have noticed that it's not so great. So I want to look into different ways of making that better. I'd like to continue the work on the master plan and make sure that our ADA compliance on all forest preserves is as current as it should be. I'd like to reduce wasteful spending, promote the use of open space for community gardens, just like down in Naperville at the McDonald Farm. And also, I'd like to see the completion of the East Branch DuPage River Trail, and I am the squeakiest wheel. I will get that done.
Thank you. Candidate Kessel, this question is for you. You both have mentioned the Forest Preserve Master Plan. So the question is this. The 2019 Master Plan was intended to guide Forest Preserve versus district efforts through 2024. Do you think the Forest Preserve District has made good progress in implementing the elements of this plan?
Yes, so the master plan, for me, it's a great plan, but it's a building block. It's a foundation that we can build on for more great things within our forest preserve district. So, we utilize the things like the master plan to start off with, our path towards better efficiency, whether it be through solar power or, reduction of stuff like wasteful spending or just being generally wasteful. So now the master plan also called for some changes to the way we do our landfill sort of maintenance. And that's something that we definitely have to work on. And that's, I believe, the purpose for the referendum, as one of the purposes for the referendum, is to help pad that cost. So.
Thank you. Candidate Gahris.
Yes, I think, well, we're about halfway through the referendum and we made amazing progress. We had to wrestle with, of course, the pandemic. And at the same time, the usage of the preserves went up double for a while there. So that was quite a challenge, but we got a lot of projects done and we have more to do. And so I'm just thinking, it's an exciting time period when we make certain improvements that improves operational efficiencies of the preserves. So everything functions better behind the scenes, and that's really important. Make sure that our staff have what they need, and that means that you have what you need as a visitor. So, and I think at some point we need to revisit the plan, say how far have we gone? Do we need to tweak it, and so on. So,
Thank you, Candidate Gahris. We've had several questions about what is both of your position on developing new trails or recreational facilities in the Forest Preserve, in particular, the East Branch River Trail?
I've been in favor of the East Branch Trail and be looking for opportunities to help move that along. The county has the lead on it, so it's a matter of working with the county, making sure they're doing what they need to be doing. And we've got $1 million grant from Congressman Caston. I think that's a rough figure, or maybe it's exact, I don't remember, but there is a study going underway, so we have to wait for that. That takes time. There's some engineering challenges. There's the obstacle of the Union Pacific Railroad. There's also other trail aspects. We're working in the West Branch. We have a lead on that. And so we hope to get a bridge over Roosevelt Road and make that a much safer way so ultimately you have a big loop. So if you're a serious biker, you can literally ride all day in DuPage County in a very safe manner. And we also have short connections like on Butterfield Road where Cromwell Street, we just finished that. There's an entire neighborhood of Wheaton. Hundreds of homes now have ready access into Denata, and they are ecstatic about that. So that's the kind of success story that we need to be working on.
Candidate Kessel?
Okay, so yeah, I believe that our trails are really awesome here in DuPage County. We're so lucky to have as many as we do. I'm going to focus a little bit on the East Branch DuPage River Trail because the East Branch DuPage River Trail is something I've had front row seats to. It's in my front yard, literally right across the street from my house. So this is something that really early on I was into, and I couldn't wait for it to be completed. I've been disappointed that it's hit so many roadblocks along the way, and I am planning to advocate very, very highly for this thing. And what I think it really needs is it needs somebody who's not afraid to be a loud mouthpiece for this and connect people, get entities like ComEd, Union Pacific, the Forest Preserve, the county board, to collaborate with each other to finally come with an answer. So now Sean Caston did give $1.2 million for engineering on this. The county board also gave $300,000 as a match for engineering, and they said that it was going to take 24 to 36 months for that to complete. And I'm going to hold them to that. And once that's completed, I'm going to make sure that we have a cogent plan that's ready to put into action immediately.
Thank you. We've had several questions about sustainability and environmentally friendly. So candidate Castle, we'll start with you. What do you see as the greatest opportunity for the Forest Preserve District to improve sustainability? And what, if any, experience have you had with such projects?
Improve sustainability. Well, in order to, let's talk about the fish, for instance. That has to be a sustainable stocking of fish. It's been bare minimum until recently, and that's why people are finding that there's a problem with the fishing. One thing that has to be sustainable also is with our landfills. We have to make sure that we have a sustainable plan in place in order to get rid of or to keep the leachate out of the groundwater, and also to keep the methane gases under control. So, we have to constantly be investing in new ways to make sure that those two issues there are under control. As far as experience, I'm an avid fisherman. So yes, I have experience with fishing. Leachate and methane, not so much.
Thank goodness. Candidate Gahris.
Thank you. There's a lot to do with sustainability. A lot of it kind of affects us personally, but I think we can start with the native areas or the natural areas that with native plants. They are soaking up carbon like a sponge, and if you compare that to our operations, we are net zero for carbon emissions already. However, if you include the landfills, that throws the equation out of whack. And we do have staff working on the landfills. We got some projects that we're working on where we could take some landfill gas and maybe put it into a pipeline and send it to market. And that'll be better than emitting methane in the atmosphere. Our buildings, we can make some improvements. We got a few electric vehicles, including Ford Lightnings, which I suppose could pull any load imaginable. And so that helps with operational efficiencies in the end too. But yeah, there's just different angles we can pursue. And we do have a sustainability plan that I push for. So for the first time, we actually have a plan to put in motion over the years. So it's something you implement as you can within the constraints of your budget.
Thank you. Candidate Gahris, how would you increase public awareness and education about the ecological value of the forest preserve?
Oh, education, that's a very important thing. We have hundreds of programs a year, and I think we need to emphasize that. Get people out in nature, show them how it works. And I think that's a very valuable educational component. Usually when I talk to people, they are saying, I love the forest preserves, and often they don't have a chance to get out and enjoy them, but it's important to get people out in nature. I think one thing I learned about education in recent years, if you educate people outdoors, it's way more powerful than in a classroom, and that applies to kids, so we need to get more youth out there. Am I answering the question? I just making sure.
No judgment from here. Candidate Castle, the same question. How would you increase public awareness and education about the ecological value of the forest preserve?
Well, I would advocate for collaboration with local high schools and possibly the College of DuPage and educating youngsters with the heavy amount of data that we have as a forest preserve. I've sat through meetings where they've got some really great data that they present to the people. So educating through our young people, and also possibly, hosting some seminars at the public library. We can't expect people to just come to our forest preserve meetings and even actually social media. We do a pretty good job at social media already, though, I think, as a forest preserve. So that'd be a great way to reach out.
Candidate Castle, what is your position on the 2024 Forest Preserve District referendum? Please explain.
Okay, so as far as the referendum, I am a conservative, and so my knee-jerk reaction is to be critical of it. But in this situation, the data that's presented is actually pretty great. So with the trust, or I'm sorry, with the referendum, which the Forest Preserve has not raised the tax levy. We've been a flat levy for about 3 or 4 years. We're actually levying less now than we were in 2015. And show me another taxing body that can say the same thing. Okay, so, but with referendums, the thing that always scares me is people who are susceptible to being harmed by it, like seniors on a fixed income or young people who don't really have a lot of money and they're just looking to start their family out. And so, but in this case, it's actually not such a bad thing. It'll go to pay for some land acquisition as well as to bolster the landfill trust fund, which is desperately needed to have some life pumped into it. We started out with around $300 million 30 years ago, and it's now down to about 180,000 or a million rather. So it's not sustainable. It's got to have a better plan and better funding. So.
Candidate Gahris.
Thank you. I think that was well said. I will remind people that right now it's 1.5% of the tax bill. After the referendum, if it's passed, it'll be 1.9% of the property tax bill. And we were giving out rebates or tax abatements to help protect people during the pandemic, during all that financial disruption. And meanwhile, we're on this course that we knew long-term was not sustainable. And yes, we have been rating the landfill fund, which is important for environmental protections for the citizens of DuPage County. So we just had to look forward. And in terms of planning, we realized that some adjustments need to be made. Inflation has been horrendous the last couple of years, and for a lot of the projects we're trying to get done. And we had deferred maintenance on a few things. And if we had done it 5 years ago, it would have been much cheaper. But you can only do so much at once. But there are some things we need to keep moving forward on. You might say the landfill or the forest preserves are wonderful the way they are, but the question is, what will they be like 5 or 10 years from now? I think the public expects us to maintain them beautifully. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback about how well the preserves appear to people and how they enjoy them. So we need to maintain that. And so a minor tax adjustment is needed. So thank you.
Candidate Gahris, you mentioned the landfill fund.
Yeah.
And I have a question here that says the district website says new revenue will eliminate needed subsidies. Okay, let me try this again. District web says new revenue will eliminate need subsidized operations with landfill fund interest to prudently manage the fund. Why is this not disclosed in public information and result in a need for increased taxation? Maybe what we need you to do is explain the landfill fund, and both of you.
Yes.
And then explain how so my question is now going to be, what is the landfill fund?
Yeah.
And how does it manage and contribute to the general funds of the Forest Preserve?
Well, we have different funds in different places in our budget, and this pot of money is designed really to protect us against anything that might go wrong with the landfills. One of them was Blackwell was a Superfund site at one point, so it had the potential for leachate getting into the streams, and right next you have people recreating in the lake, Silver Lake there, and fishing and everything. So that's an important responsibility. So we set up that fund many years ago. And I think it's important we maintain that. It does have interest income, but when you invest monies, you can't be on the stock market making $1 kajillion. You got to be very prudent with how you invest, and that creates a certain amount of revenue, which we've been taking that. But those revenues can fluctuate from year to year. So apparently it's dropped, and so we realized that we just can't be rating that fund because we do have some needs. We have maintenance work at Blackwell now, replacing leachate collection systems and other things. And so we just need to be careful about how we handle that. So I think that the referendum will help balance that out, so we'll be less reliant on borrowing from robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak.
Candidate Castle?
So the landfill trust fund is largely originally funded by Cook County TIPS. dumping. So when the landfills were open, you had Green Valley, Blackwell, and Mallard Lake. Okay, Green Valley and Mallard Lake closed in the late 90s, and Blackwell closed in 73. So Cook County waste haulers would come out to DuPage County and use our landfills, and there was a deal struck to give us certain, I guess, tip, they called it, a cut of the money, or a charge to come out and use our dumps. And so now that money has been used to take care of the methane and the leachate, and for maintenance. So now you can see it's not sustainable. We have to continue that, or else it's going to be really bad. You know, as Mr. Gahris said, you know, it can get into the groundwater, it can get into the lakes that are right next to our landfills, and boy, it'd be a really bad situation. But it's not a sustainable situation, and so it deserves more funding in order to continue funding the equipment that we need to purchase in order to do these tasks.
So Kennedy Castle, just kind of a follow-up to that. A question's been asked, how do we avoid the need for another referendum in the future? What can be put into place?
Well, the whole reason why we have this referendum is because it's been a flat tax. I haven't been on the board, so I don't know why they chose to be a flat tax and not raise it, just even a smidgen, but that was the choice that they made. And here we are now. So it's, you know, unfortunately, this is where we are. So hopefully from now on, they'll adapt to an attitude of not going max levy when they go to redo their levy every year, but at least know that you have the money so you don't have to get into a robbing Peter to pay Paul type situation. So that's going to be my attitude on the board. Did that sufficiently answer you?
Candidate Gahris.
Yeah, I think this referendum will set us up for a long time. It's been 18 years since the last tax levy, so maybe we should shoot for another 18. I'd be okay with that. It's just a question of what our needs are and what the communities of DuPage County want. And so here's one of those points in time where we're going to the community and saying, what do you want? Do you want the balanced budget? You want a budget that makes sense for the forest preserves to provide the things you want and things you value? And so we got to make that decision. If the referendum does not pass, what that simply means is we'll be cutting back on certain things in the future. So the experience that people have won't be quite as good going forward. But I think this will balance things out for a long period. I think, you know, we have financial wizards who are projecting out like, you know, a decade or more ahead of time. So I think we'll be in good shape for a long time.
Great. Candidate Gahris, switching gears a little bit. What is your stance on transparency in local government, and provide an example of how you have implemented or advocated for more transparency?
Well, I certainly believe in transparency. I've noticed that our budgeting process is very open. You know, we have open meetings and you can view them all on video going back years and years. You can see all the decisions we made. You can see all the public discussions. And I think that's important to have at all times. And we actually have more recently which I supported, I think the whole board did, the idea of having a readable budget that the average guy could read. So there's a document that's online now, so you can actually see where the money's going and how it benefits you. It's very user friendly. We also have hundreds of pages of the nitty gritty stuff. If you are CPA and you love numbers, you can look at that too.
Candidate Castle.
Yes. So obviously transparency is very important. The Forest Preserve of DuPage County does a great job of it already. As Mr. Gahris said, they do have a sort of Cliff's Notes layman's version of the budget breakdown. It's an overview online, and it has pie charts, and so it's a very broken down description of what the budget was for, why they budgeted the way they did, and how they appropriated the money into the budget the way they did. And so it's actually pretty great. But, you know, one thing that I've always done is I've always had my phone number available to people. As a township trustee, we have business cards. I've always kept it, and I've insisted that my personal phone number be put on every business card that's right at the front desk of the township, because people have to be able to get a hold of me, and I don't want them to have to email me and email only. We even had people try to hit me on Facebook with questions. But, you know, that's kind of a gray area. I don't want to deal with that. I want them calling me, having a one-on-one conversation, and anybody's able to call me.
Thank you. We've had several questions on this topic. What is your opinion on whether anyone should hold two elected paid positions in DuPage County at the same time? If so, how should conflicts of interest be handled and responsibilities balanced so that neither governing body suffers? Candidate Castle, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so, you know, things like, in my instance, trustee of a township and forest preserve commissioner, they're two very part-time jobs, especially the trustee position. So, you know, but it's one of those things where you put into it, you know, whatever you get out of it, what you put into it. And that, I think, determines the level of excellence in being an elected official that you are. Now, as far as that goes, there are rules already set into place at the county level. Like you couldn't be a township trustee and also a county board member. You could also be, you know, because they trade money. As a township trustee, I couldn't be a county board member because we get ARPA funds from them. We got CARES Act funds from them. So I would be a county board member deciding how much CARES Act or ARPA funds that are dispersed to the township I'm also on. Then I'd get on that board and be like, yeah, this is great. And so that's unethical. That's not good behavior of an elected official. So if there was a conflict there, then that person should step down before accepting a new position.
Thank you. Candidate Gahris, your thoughts?
Well, I've always been in favor of just doing one job at a time and doing it as best as I can. And this reminds me of, I think this happens in other counties of the state. You could be a county board member and a forest preserve district commissioner at the same time. And you run for both offices, and then you go to one meeting and vote one way, and you go to another meeting and vote the other way on the same issue. So there's these conflicts that occur. And I think if I was in a position where I had two government jobs, and if there was a conflict, I'd have to recuse myself from certain votes, which to me is awkward. I would like to avoid that. So my philosophy is one job at a time and do the best job you can.
Candidate Gahris, we've had several questions too about how best to communicate with forest preserve commissioners, especially about the East Branch River Trail. How is it best to communicate with commissioners of the public? Communicate with you.
From the public's point of view, how they would, well, I think, well, certainly commissioners are available. We have our contact information on the website. So if anybody has a concern about the trail and an interest, and they want to learn more, or they want to advocate, certainly, you know, I'm an open door. I would like to hear all the concerns that the public has about any issue, including that trail. And certainly if an issue comes before us on the commission, we would all be discussing amongst ourselves publicly, but I think it's important to have that open channel of communication open, and I think advocacy from the public is something we need to hear. I thrive on the feedback I get from the public on various issues because I don't know necessarily what people are thinking unless I'm hearing from them, and I think that's important.
Thank you. Candidate Castle?
So your elected official should always be accessible to you, whether it be by phone, text message, email, it doesn't matter. I want to be able to communicate with you, and I've always advocated for that as a township trustee. As a highway or as a forest preserve commissioner, I definitely think that our numbers, you know, whether we have our personal numbers or the forest preserve gives us a cell phone, people need to be able to call us and leave us a message, not just give us an impersonal email. As a forest preserve commissioner, I'm going to be accessible. That's the only way I'm going to be able to appropriately, you know, transmit the message, the will of the people at the board table. If you're talking about as a taxpaying citizen. As like an advocate, if there's a group for the East Branch DuPage River Trail, for instance, you know, inviting to their meetings, going to their meetings to help advocate for them, hear their point of view. You want to hear people for it and against it, so that you can hear what they have to say. They all pay taxes, they all pay into this thing, so their view should be transmitted to the commissioner in order to transfer that at the boardroom table.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. And so the question is, what are the current developments threatening our forest preserve? Are there current developments threatening our forest preserve?
Are we
There's-
talking
yes.
about housing developments?
The question doesn't specify, but I would assume.
Okay, if you're, I don't know about any housing developments, situational developments, you know, of course, there's always the buckthorn that needs to be taken care of in a big way. I've heard concerns from people, and just invasive plant species in general. You know, people don't understand that buckthorn is a plant that it's the first plant to get its leaves and the last plant to lose them. And so it casts shade on ground dwelling native plants, and so that they don't have a chance to live. Okay, so that needs to be eradicated. As far as other stuff, developments, yeah, I really guess I don't follow the question fully, but the buckthorn is one good instance.
Yes, I agree. The buckthorn's the bane of my existence. I think I spent endless hours removing it. But you go to Churchill Woods down the road here and you'll see how that was cleared out, and it brings the woods back to life, because buckthorn actually literally threatens our oak forests. It'll act, if the oaks don't regenerate, they go away. And that's a key stone species. It's a very important part of our environment here in Northern Illinois. In terms of housing developments, we're in the process of acquiring some property on Lease Road. I'm very excited about that. I pushed hardest on the board for that. And was a horse boarding operation, and the family that runs it decided they want to end that one way or the other. And one possibility was a housing development. But they came to us and said, we'd rather keep it green space. So we had to work out some financial arrangements, and so before the end of the year, that will become forest preserve property, and that connects ecologically to the Morton Arboretum. And so I think another threat is we fragment our ecosystems, and we have housing developments, and we have little parcels of this and that. And I don't think that's the healthiest. We want to create large properties. We just had this morning an important meeting where we talked an informational thing about our policy toward land acquisition. So you might want to get online and look that up. So it's a very interesting piece that we have published as of today, I believe.
Thank you. Gentlemen, it's time for closing statements. So candidate Gahris, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
First, I want to thank my wife, Bonnie, who helps me get through all these campaigns, and without her support, I wouldn't be here probably. So, but I have not forgotten my rural roots, which inspired my love for nature, and that's my training and experience have been very helpful for me in my role as a commissioner. And I think we need to be proactively managing our native areas, our natural resources, to get maximum results at a reasonable cost. We need skilled, experienced, and knowledgeable staff, as well as commissioners who understand those challenges and can support our staff in doing the best job they can. And we need to address issues that not everybody thinks about, like light pollution, or of course, everybody thinks about natural area restoration to save our oak forests and prairies. And we need clean, affordable energy. We need to be improving our trail system, restoring our waterways. We're making great progress, but I think if we provide a strong sense of place that includes an appreciation of our history and our natural heritage, we'll be doing great. We need to keep our preserves safe and a healthy place for all of our residents, regardless of who they are. We also need to be fiscally responsible and doing these things for our residents. I should also note that I'm a member of a new nonprofit set up to take the McKee House and restore it and make it a Native American cultural and environmental education center. So you'll be hearing more about that in the weeks to come. But as a commissioner, I'm just in my lane, seeking only this elected office because this is who I am and this is my passion. So there's still work to be done, and I think I'm the best choice for this position naturally. Thank you.
Candidate Castle, your 2-minute closing statement.
Yeah, so I wanted to thank my wife and kids for coming tonight, as well as my mother and mother-in-law, and everybody else for coming tonight, and listening to us. I do think that I am the best option for this. I am a breath of fresh air on the board. I will be the voice of the people. I will stay in constant contact with constituents. I think turnover for boards like the Forest Preserve Board is healthy for the Forest Preserve Board. I think that, and the same will be the same for me in a couple of terms from now, if I should get elected twice. But I'm committed to the environment. I'm committed to this Forest Preserve District of DuPage County, and I'm committed to the people. You know, I believe that we need more fiscal responsibility on the board. And we need somebody who will not be afraid to advocate for what's right when the time comes. So I believe that choice is me, and so I hope people will consider casting their vote for me on or before November 5th. Thank you all.
Thank you. Now's the time to clap. Our democracy thrives when all of us are engaged. Attending or watching a candidate forum is an excellent way to be empowered to join discussions on local issues and make your voice heard on Election Day. We hope that each and every one of you will vote, inspire your family, friends, and neighbors to do the same on or before November 5th. Information on how and when to vote can be found at the Glen Ellyn League of Women Voters website, and early voting has begun at the county fair grounds. Thank you so much for all of you coming. This is a huge crowd. That's congratulations. Clap for yourselves. You have some closing remarks.
Well, I want to thank you all for joining us this evening, and special thanks for having the candidates come, as well as to our moderator. I know I learned a great deal. I knew nothing about the landfill fund, but now I know more about that. So I hope you did as well. I want to bring to your attention 2 programs that I think you'll be very interested in and don't want to miss. This Thursday, October 3rd, the Wheaton League will be hosting a moderated candidate forum for contested congressional districts and DuPage County-wide candidates. And that will run from 5:30 to 8:55 at Wheaton City Hall in Wheaton. It'll be, I have my list here, the congressional 3rd candidates, the county auditor, county coroner, the circuit court clerk, the county recorder, Illinois District 47, Illinois District 48. So I would recommend that you go, we have on our website, we have the schedule so that you know when those programs are going to be going on. Second, I'd like to make you aware that our next community meeting will be on October 17th at 7 p.m. in the Clayton Room at the Glen Ellyn Civic Center. And the subject will be mis- and disinformation awareness. It's so important in this election season that we learn how mis- and disinformation is being spread. So our moderator for the evening will be Barb Lamans again, who is also the chair of the League of Women Voters of Illinois Mis- and Disinformation Task Force. So I think both of those programs are very important. For more information about the League and all upcoming events, please go to our website, lwvge.org, or you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Also, there was a set of sunglasses, and a water bottle that was left up at the front. So check around and see if it maybe belongs to you and pick that up before you leave. We are done in time, so you can all go home and watch that vice president.